in an age long past, at least more than 2,600 years ago, probably more than 6,000 years ago, but a really, indefinite amount of time ago, there was once a beautiful place that was not yet known as Dragonspine. And in comparison to everything else around it, Dragonspine was actually a really nice place to live. So everything else was snowy, blizzards, essentially what Dragonspine is today, while Dragonspine itself was a nice, lush, green, verdant place that people actually wanted to live in. So people, of course, went to go live there since it was significantly better than everywhere else around it. This group of people would settle Dragonspine and create the kingdom that would be known as Sal Vindagnyr. Now, before we begin really talking about Sal Vindagnyr, please forgive any mispronunciations I make, and the lore here is also very disjointed, so I'll do my best to source as we go, but, it's always best to double check yourself. Anyway, first off, they bear suspicious similarities, actually, to the prior civilizations, given that they had an Irminsul tree, they had a chief priest, he even had the crown of white branches, and they were also destroyed. But that's neither here nor there, since we don't actually know that many details about what this connection this may have. Alright, moving on. So, they have a chief priest. Oh, right. You know what? It's fine. Alright. Anyway, they have a chief priest, and this chief priest has his wife, presumably, who's a priestess, and the priestess has a baby. And this is the princess, for reasons unknown, because he's not actually considered the king. But anyway, she is considered the princess of Sal Vindagnyr, and nothing happened. She is considered the princess of Sal Vindagnyr, and by being born beneath the Irminsul tree of Sal Vindagnyr, she gained prophetic powers. Eventually, an outlander who would be known as, forgive me, I'm butchering this, as Imunlaukr, would arrive from some location unknown. But it wasn't Sal Vindagnyr, it's rather self-explanatory as outlander. In any case, Imunlaukr would arrive in Sal Vindagnyr, he would get together with the princess would make him a nice sword, the snow-tuned star silver, and then the princess had a terrible prophetic dream about a black dragon known as Durin. This is from ancient carvings, although I guess, okay, she didn't know it was Durin, but she would have a terrible dream about a black dragon coming and spreading poison all over Sal Vindagnyr. That being said, this would not occur until quite literally thousands of years later, but at the time, nobody knew this. Later that month, unfortunately, the Skyfrost Nail would be dropped on Sal Vindagnyr. You can see in this nice picture over here, Celestia, the Skyfrost Nail, and then here's Sal Vindagnyr, which is beautiful and green, and after the nail got dropped, it no longer was. This killed the Irminsul tree, caused unfortunate leyline disorders, and Sal Vindagnyr became a frozen wasteland. As a result, according to Blizzard Strayer, the princess told Imunlaukr to go and try to find a solution to save Sal Vindagnyr. He took his sword, was like, yup, put on his crown/hat thing, and left. In the meantime, everybody else, rather than sit around waiting for Imunlaukr to come back, decided to actually take matters into their own hands. The chief priest/princess's dad, who was most likely named Varuk, decided to go to the top of the mountain and try to figure out what was happening, solve it, get advice, ask questions. Actually, let me check the exact wording of the priest's box here, since that's the primary source of information for this. However, the point is, in the process, he died. Now, the two major players we have left remaining are the princess and the scribe. Ah, yes, he climbed the peak looking for guidance. Beautiful. Anyways, the two main players we had left are the princess and the scribe, who is most likely known as Uko, but we'll get there in a minute. So the princess, who was in charge of creating these frescoes because of her prophetic dreams, failed to create a third fresco that her father wanted. He hoped that she would make a fresco featuring, beautiful Sal Vindagnyr, nice and lush and green, and she couldn't do it because, depressingly, apparently she couldn't remember what green and blue skies actually looked like. In any case, after her father died, the princess decided that she was going to try and resurrect the Irminsul tree by taking a cutting off of its healthiest branch and grafting it onto a different tree. That's from, Frostbearer, as well as a combination of that and the princess's box. In the process, she died. That's ancient carvings. Very unfortunate. So now, as far as we know, the only person left is Uko. Maybe there's other people, but at this point, the majority of Sal Vindagnyr has died because either it's cold, or they starved, or something happened to them. So it's just Uko, the scribe, left. And he writes a lot of this stuff down on the ancient carvings. And he's also, really upset about this. Man, all my friends are dead. All my family is dead. Imunlaukr apparently abandoned him. And lots of people were cursing Imunlaukr's name, the scribe included, Blizzard Strayer, plus also Scribe's box. So the scribe basically wishes that, the black dragon will come and destroy Dragonspine and says, he hates the world, blah, blah, blah. Drops an interesting little tidbit about how Conria is being founded at the moment, and then presumably the scribe goes and dies. Anyways, the story's not done yet, though, because Imunlaukr still has yet to come back. And he comes back, just not quite in time. He comes back and everybody is dead. Lovely. So he comes back, his sword is dripping with black blood, which is an interesting reference to what might potentially be abyssal monsters. And when he comes back, he decides, yes, the world sucks. I'm going to go and paint the world red with blood, even though my sword has black blood on it. But I guess he wants to go kill non-abyssal stuff. So he leaves and presumably founds what would be eventually known as the Imunlaukr clan and one of the founding clans of Mondstadt, though that's something for a later video. Now, some important things to note that still have reference today that we really don't know what they mean. For example, we can look at this mural room. It might be the frescoes painted by the princess, it might not, it's really not that clear. But first off, if we look at these ones over here, you can see that these are written in the Teyvat script, in the, Latin alphabet. Essentially, each one goes at a one-to-one translation into the English alphabet, and from there you have to Google translate it through Latin. This one roughly reads, right in front of us, this one roughly reads, "The angels help the faithful." I am not going to attempt to pronounce the Latin. And then over here, this one reads, "Listen and be silent if you wish to learn." That being said, nobody actually knows what any of these murals really mean, the words at least, nor do we have any ideas about why somebody might have put them on the murals, if the princess was the one who painted these murals, then why did she put them on, etc. Among other interesting carvings within Dragonspine is, the ruin guard numbers. If you go to certain ruin guards, there's little numbers on them. It's a long and complicated thing. You can look at it if you want, but essentially somebody cracked the code. And there is a message within the ruin guards on Dragonspine that reads, "For this nation, we cannot forego the skyborn power, but we failed." I think I'm paraphrasing here. It's something along those lines. However, since ruin guards come from Conria, and Conria was being founded as Sal Vindagnyr collapsed, nobody actually knows if this is a Conrian message, a Sal Vindagnyr message, something else entirely, since it actually does fit better with Sal Vindagnyr, since it would provide a reason why Celestia dropped Skyfrost Nail on them as well, but it doesn't really fit with the fact that they are decidedly Conrian inventions. There's lots of stuff about Sal Vindagnyr we don't know. Don't question it too much. There's not that many answers. Some other relevant lore to the modern day is that the tree that the princess attempted to graft the Irminsul cutting onto actually survived. Well, okay, that's a misnomer. The tree was frozen and buried beneath snow, but then in modern day, the traveler actually resurrected it using the crimson agate, since this tree in question is the frost-bearing tree. So, hey, congratulations, you saved a remnant of an ancient civilization that we really can't place in the timeline. More on the timeline piece. Since Sal Vindagnyr wasn't part of the unified human kingdom, we know that it came after the era of Enkanomiya and the unified civilization. However, that being said, we also know that it came before Conria, and furthermore before the end of the Archon War, though it's unclear if the Archon War had actually began or not when Sal Vindagnyr was founded, or when Sal Vindagnyr was collapsing. In fact, we don't have a timeline on how long it took between Sal Vindagnyr's collapse and Sal Vindagnyr's founding. Like I said, the timeline placement of Sal Vindagnyr is very, very iffy. So that's how it is. Anyways, next episode we'll be getting into actually events that we can historically place in the timeline with the Archon War, Andreas versus the Caribbean, Venti, Libidon the Rebellion, Amos, the Red-Haired Knight, Gunhildur, the first, I suppose, the Priestess Lady. Some more about the Archon War, Venerer, she's great. Old Mondstadt, whatever you want to think of it as. And that will be all for today. Thanks. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's really pretty helpful for the algorithm and everything. And I would like to keep producing these videos, and eventually, ideally, we'll have a series about the entire history of Teyvat. Thanks.